Law enforcement is actively spying on dissidents who are trying to improve the system. Take a look at this. The Massachusetts State Police accidentally revealed surveillance of progressive political groups in a social media post on gas explosions in Lawrence, North Andover, and Andover. WBUR reports. The police posted an image of 39 gas explosion locations, but the screen grab of the police computer indicated the browser's bookmarks bar. The post showed police had booked pages for Massachusetts Action Against Police Brutality, the Coalition to Organize and Mobilize Boston Against Trump, and other activist organizations. Police were also monitoring a resistance calendar of anti-Trump protests. Cade Crockford, director of the Technology for Liberty program at the Massachusetts branch of the ACLU, slammed the revelation. I wasn't surprised, but I was appalled, Crockford told WBUR. American law enforcement has, for a very long time, targeted dissidents. A lot of people like to believe those tactics ended, but that's not true. And actually, after 9/11, they've seen a substantial resurgence. So, this is a stark reminder of what law enforcement has traditionally done in this country. They spied on Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and they tried to ruin them. Remember, it was the FBI that famously sent a letter to Martin Luther King saying, "We know about your affair, you should kill yourself." Now, Malcolm X, they tried to find similar dirt, but it turns out he was not cheating on his wife, so they didn't have anything in that respect. But he also his life ended in an assassination. It's an open question as to whether or not it was actually. They say it was definitely the Nation of Islam that did the hit. Some people even say Louis Farrakhan, but I don't know who it is. All I know is there's a question as to whether it's them or could be, our law enforcement agencies. But there's a history of spying on dissidents and people who are trying to, implement social change. And what's super annoying is that later on, everybody pretends, like with Martin Luther King Day, like, oh yeah, Martin Luther King's a hero. And the implication is we always knew he was a hero and he was always heralded that way in society. And that is not true. That is not true. For the longest time, he was despised. And you see a lot, and the idea like, oh, we stopped all that. Not true. They're still spying on people trying to implement social change. And they're doing it because they don't agree with the social change. So is there a real law enforcement imperative to trying to fight against a group that wants to end police brutality and that wants to mobilize against Trump? There's no real law enforcement imperative there, but they're doing it because they're essentially an arm of the state and they're political actors. So it's a very, very scary thing. And we saw the same Occupy Wall Street, for example. They viciously cracked down on those protesters, and they were acting as an arm of not only the state in that instance, but corporate America. They were acting as an arm of the moneyed interests. That's what they were doing. And this is the stuff that still goes on. And if you don't believe me, just stop and take a minute and look at how, for example, Edward Snowden is treated today. Edward Snowden is a hero. He's the guy that let us know, oh, by the way, your government's spying on you. And they're doing it without a warrant, and that's totally unconstitutional, and that's wrong. I'm going to give you that information. And then even to this day, the narrative from the establishment is, oh my God, he's evil, he's bad, he's a traitor, he's treasonous, he's wrong. Meanwhile, you can draw a line between what Daniel Ellsberg did and what Edward Snowden did. Daniel Ellsberg today, because he released the Pentagon Papers that showed how we were massacring innocent people in Vietnam, but today everybody goes, oh, Daniel Ellsberg's a hero. Well, Snowden did a similar thing. He's a whistleblower. Very similar thing. And Ellsberg says Snowden is like me. But today, because it's today, everybody the establishment pretends like, no, he's a bad guy. By the same token, you could have the next MLK in one of these groups fighting against police brutality, fighting against, or mobilizing against Trump, and they're spying on them and they're trying to take him down. So I'm just here to give you the information. I'm just here to give you the facts, and you do with it what you may, but unfortunately, these organizations are not apolitical, even though they should be. And when I say these organizations, I mean law enforcement.